boxers to become full-time athletes. And that was the key difference. And that's why, despite our previous successes, we have had a more concentrated level of success. That was merely the point I was going to make before I was interrupted. And I want this to be made perfectly clear to the committee, and I want it because I've spoken to the athletes personally myself about this last Friday and the coaches. We in the IABA and on this board of the IABA are absolutely bursting with pride at the achievements of our high performance unit and our high performance boxers. They are the very reason why every young schoolboy and schoolgirl walks in to a boxing club, whether it's in Manorhamilton or whether it's in County Clare or whether it's in one of the underprivileged areas of Dublin. That's the reason why they go in there, because of the Katie Taylors, because of the Paddy Barnes, because of the Michael Conlons. We're under no illusions about that. And this thing that has been propagated in the media that we are somehow resentful of it needs to be put to bed. Not only are we not resentful of it, we are incredibly proud of it, and we have no intention of ever not being involved with it. And I don't know whether I can be any clearer than that.
Yes, could Senator Mooney's questions?
You may be saying this, and I don't doubt, and sincerity, and perhaps I should have put on the record how much I admired sport, because you mentioned Manorhamilton. I mean, there's been a sporting boxing tradition in my county for a long time. So, and absolutely it would be the same, and I think reflecting the general view of everybody, bursting with pride at what the boxers are doing. In fact, it raises serious questions to the Sports Council about the other high-performance units, about, for example, athletics, which has failed, despite all of the hype surrounding it, to actually be as successful as you are, relatively speaking, and raises questions why is it that you had this unique coach or series of coaches that have succeeded so well, and your whole structure from the bottom up that has obviously contributed to all of that. I recognise all of that, but I'm still of the view that something inherently wrong with the process of the last 8 months, and that's what I'm trying to get at here. Yeah, despite what you're saying, I'm trying to get at, but it's the supplementary is specifically about the statement in response that Billy Walsh has put into the public domain, which raises very fundamental questions about what your position has been here today. And I'm trying to get at, what is it? Were you being prompted by people within your own organisation to get rid of them?
Senator,
I mean, what happened?
I think
what happened that this thing went on?
Senator,
that's what I'm trying to get.
Could we allow the question to be answered?
Get at. It's no reflection on boxing
Senator,
success.
could I ask you to allow the IABA to answer?
Thank you very much, Chairman and Senator Mooney. Can I just say that there was one thing, and it ties in with what you've just said earlier. When I said in reading my statement, we wanted Billy to stay, Senator Coughlin said, I don't believe you. And that's a perfectly valid opinion to hold, particularly having regard to the coverage in the media. But from the 20th of February through till the formal meetings with the Sports Council and the proposals which were drawn up on the 22nd of August, the number of different solutions and options that were put forward by the IABA in order to try and deal with this problem. They started off with whether or not he could become a contractor. In other words, a contract for services. That was one at the very, very start. And that would obviate the need for any relativism because he would have changed his status. If there was, we would then just be looking to match what the Yanks were going to pay him, or are paying him. The other option was a fixed-term contract. The indications from the circumstance was that that's what he was getting in America, a fixed-term contract. So it seemed not unreasonable to offer him a fixed-term contract here on similar terms. Again, that would obviate the need because he would have changed the terms of his employment. The other proposition put forward again by the IABA was to waive his exclusivity of service contract within his contract that he was now on as the highest paid permanent employee and the head coach of boxing. At no stage did the IABA want to interfere in any way in that contract, except to offer to waive that and work with the Sports Council to seek increase in wages and bonuses. The only difference between the only thing that we were putting forward was the proposition that if a bonus is paid to the coach, it should also be paid to the boxer, in the sense that they're the ones taking the wallops. And when the bell goes, one gets out of the ring and the other stays in the ring. So that seemed a not unreasonable proposition. And it was, in fact, acceded to by the Minister and by the Sports Council in the proposition that was put together on at Loan on the 11th of September.
But couldn't he have reasonably expected? But couldn't he have reasonably expected a bonus?
Senator.
Couldn't he have reasonably expected a bonus?
Senator.
Sorry, it's just the context
No,
of the clarity.
we won't get through this.
I'm just,
not allowed to reply.
pardon me, Chairman. Sorry, Senator. I'm just trying to indicate that a recommendation was put by me to the Chief Executive of the Sports Council that if the IABA waived the exclusivity of service contract, well then his experience and expertise in the high performance programme. We've heard from some of your colleagues that the high performance programmes in the other sports aren't producing the same level of medals, the same levels of international success. And the proposition was that he would be able to be paid by either the Sports Council, the Institute of Sport or Campus Ireland, whatever group out there, to provide this expertise, to them and share it with them. Now, if it was the case that the IABA wanted to get rid of him or was seeking, not that they didn't want him to stay, as I said in the thing, why would they have come up with all these different ways to try and overcome the obvious and inevitable funding issues that arise when you renegotiate the terms of one contract, and particularly in order to match the offer that he had from the US, it meant an increase of north of 50% and 60%. It's an enormous amount, which has devastating effects down the way, unless you have the funding secured. Which it was. No, it wasn't secured for the other employees. Okay?
But we're only talking about Billy Walsh.
No, the effect on the others is that there's an inevitable right for somebody to match, say, Zorantia or any of the other coaches, to have a similar increase.
On a fixed contract?
Sorry?
On a fixed contract?
No. What was being offered to him in the agreement in August was that he remain as a permanent employee with his remuneration going up at the levels that I'm talking about. And what I'm trying to convey to the committee is that when I say that the IABA did not want him to go, it's firstly that we never asked him to leave or change his employment status, that I've already put it on the record that even at the very last deal where he shook my hand and said, these terms are acceptable to me, we said there's always the choice to remain as a permanent employee. That's a choice that you can always take, and we will fight for increases of the more modest 5-10% and bonuses for you. And the choice was made because he was comparing, the offer that was there in terms of the length of time of the employment contract with his offer in America. Now, he's not here, nor does anybody in the room actually know what he was offered in America. None of the terms and conditions of that offer. And the IABA are not entitled to know, and they would never have asked what those terms and conditions were. We have to respect his right to negotiate on his own behalf and then try and fight to retain him. So if we come up with various different propositions, such as acting as a contractor, acting as a fixed-term employee, acting as waiving his exclusivity of service, they're all ideas to try and see, is there another way to keep him in Ireland, keep him involved not only in the high performance as head coach, but also in sport, in high performance sport, and lending his expertise to the other sports. That to me is clearly indicative of the fact that the IABA wanted him to stay.
But you're focused only on the
Sorry,
financial. But he hasn't
maybe
really
could
addressed the
some of
non-financial issues.
Some of the other questions from the other.
I wonder,